Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of the witnesses for being here. Director Dillingham, good to see you again.
Nice to see you, sir.
The black community is historically undercounted. In the 2010 census, black communities were undercounted by 2.1%, or roughly 778,000 people. It is crucial that the Bureau now work to address the historic issue of fully and accurately counting the black community. During our hearing last month, Mark Morial, CEO of the National Urban League, testified, and I quote, 60%, this is the Census Bureau's research, 60% of African Americans are going to rely on the door knocker to provide information, notwithstanding the internet, notwithstanding the telephone, and notwithstanding the paper form. That number is much higher than the national average of approximately 45%. So, Dr. Dillingham, how has the Bureau adapted to outreach and enumeration plans to address the black community specifically?
Congressman Clay, it is very important that we reach the black community, as with all communities, but certainly there are more challenges sometimes with the minority community, and particularly the black community. We appreciate the work that the Urban League and others are doing to assist us. They're our partners in this effort. And so, as I began with my opening statement, we never underestimate the potential assistance that we can get from our partners across the nation, and particularly from those groups that are working most closely with the black community. And we also need the leadership in the black community as the trusted voices to encourage everyone to make sure they're replying to the census. Now, we have a lot of new reach out activities. We discussed earlier some of the new technologies that we can take into the hard to count communities, those where the low response rates are lower, and to help reach those individuals as never before. Nevertheless, it is important that they have the trust and that they're motivated and engaged. So we do have, as Associate Director mentioned in a previous answer to another, we encourage the faith-based community. We encourage all the communities to help us with that, to make sure they're motivated, make sure they get the messaging. With our communications campaign, we have special commercials to reach those communities. And so we're really using a variety of ways. But let me ask our Associate Director if he has more direct.
Let me say this before you respond, that it's going to fall on the Bureau. It's going to fall on enumerators actually getting out there and knocking on those doors. Because you all know what the response rate is going to be, and that's when you all are key to the follow-up. Yes. Mr. Fontenot, and then Mr. Mim, I see you want to kind of say, go ahead.
Congressman, one of the things we do is model those communities where we expect lower response rates to determine whether we need a larger number of enumerators. Okay. And in that case, we are planning larger numbers of enumerators in those tracts that have low response rate, and especially in some of the black communities where we're planning larger numbers of enumerators who are hired from within that community, who know that community, to go out and then take the count. But we're depending very heavily on our partners in the community to help us raise the trust level.
But Mr. Morial also said that your outreach should be culturally appropriate. And so how do we address that?
Our outreach becomes culturally appropriate because it's designed with our partners, with the Urban League, with the NAACP, working with them, with our partnership staff who's from that community, who understands the community, and with churches.
Including media outreach?
Including media outreach, that is correct.
Black weeklies, radio?
We have a advertising agency that is a black advertising agency that is a partner with Y&R, who worked to design a lot of the media campaign to reach out to the black community.
Okay. And I see my time is up, but thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gentleman yields. The chair now recognizes the gentleman